Aloha and mahalo for joining me. I'm Janet and welcome to the Call to Create podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it and I hope you're having a fantastic day. And I have another holiday wish for you. And this holiday wish is faith. And that's what I want to share with you today. It's about faith. And I really love learning and talking about faith because I think it's one of those topics that's really important and sometimes hard to understand unless you're like actively walking in faith and you're studying faith and you are trying all you can to understand how you can apply faith to your life and things like that. And the other thing is that it's also not tangible. You can't touch it or you can't hold it. And, I'm so used to doing things with my hands and creating with my hands. And so that's what I'm so used to. That's how you get to know something that you're working with is you're touching it and holding it or you're cutting it or gluing it or whatever. But faith is one of those things that you just can't hold and touch, literally. You have to actually work on it in such a different way that you use, your different senses and you use your emotions and your mind and your heart and all of that. But everyone has their own definition of faith and what it means to them. But this is the definition that you can get that is what God would want you to know is that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith isn't like a one-time thing. It's an ongoing practice, and for that reason you really have to have a practice of choosing faith. Even when things get hard or you have fear, because if you think about it, faith usually is something that is related to God. And sometimes in the business world, you're not going to hear business people talking about faith all by itself. Faith is something that God wants you to have. He wants you to trust in Him and to move forward in faith, even though you can't see all the details and you can't see what you hope for, you can't see the end. But faith is something that we need to work on and rely on God to help us. And so whenever you hear faith, just remember that it is something so powerful because when you can actually move forward in faith and trust in God, then all those things that you're hoping for will work out for your good in whatever way that means. And with everyone, it's different because God has a different plan for everyone. So when you're thinking about faith, just remember that you have to move forward and just trust in God, even if you're doubting yourself. We are going to have doubts and fears, but you also have to choose obedience. You have to choose obedience to God's laws and commandments, and you have to be obedient to what He's saying. If you want things to work out and you want the blessings that come with faith and moving and acting in faith, so think about those things because I want you to have more faith. I want you to turn to God and rely on God for all things in your life. Even when you can't see the end, even though you don't know the end results or anything like that, we just have to move forward and just trust that God will do what He needs to do. And when you start to feel that power that comes from obedience and acting and moving in faith, you'll want more and more of, you'll want to experience more faith moving experiences. And of course, it's hard to describe unless you actually focus on it and unless you're actually trying to live your life in faith and move forward in faith. But remember, you also have to do your part too. You cannot just lay back and say, okay, I want this, and just not do anything or make any effort. You have to do your part and to rely on God to do the rest, to do His part. Just remember, you do your part and then let God do His part, because that's when the miracles happen, is if you just trust in Him and just do your part and keep moving forward, even though it's a struggle and you're not sure. And when you let go of your will and you trust in God that His will for you is better than what you could ever hope or imagine for yourself. So think about these things, because faith, like I said, is not tangible, but it becomes more real as you work on faith and you keep moving forward and you have more experiences when things work out, when you did trust in God and move forward in your faith. So I know I'm kind of repeating myself in a little bit in different ways, but it can be a little difficult sometimes to really explain the depth of faith, because it is so spiritual and it's so moving and rewarding. So make it a practice, make it a daily practice, make it an ongoing practice to move forward in faith and to choose faith. Really, you have to choose faith every single day. And, write it out in your journal. Make it one of your goals this next year in 2022. Make it a goal to make it a practice, or set a goal to practice choosing faith every single day of your life, and see what happens. See how your life will change, because you have worth and value. And I want you to have more faith this holiday season and for the rest of your life. And these are the things I wanted to share, just a brief message about faith. But thank you for being here, and happy holidays. And please share this podcast with anyone who you know would get great value out of listening to it, especially if you know that they're thinking about starting their own business. Or even if they're not, there's still great value that I share in each episode that can bring value to women, even if they aren't interested in starting their own business. And please rate and review this podcast. I would appreciate it. And thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. Aloha.